Hello, everyone. My name is Javon, and I am the director of Legacy Chess. I'm sure many of you already know me. This is for the instructors only. And so we often get the questions when we have new instructors. There's just some uncertainty about how they will do in a class and what they need to focus on, because it's often with younger students. So it's more challenging to get all of the abstractness that chess offers and then present it to our students in a way that is easy and understandable for them. So I want to create a scenario for you here. So just imagining how it was when you first started learning to play chess. So maybe you learned from a very young age, or maybe you learned once you were older, but I think we all, at least for the most part, can agree that learning chess is very challenging. Even once you learn the basics of the game, developing and strengthening your game can be something that's difficult to do, but it has a lot of benefits. And so when we apply this new concept often to a class of 8 to 10 students, or even one child, depending on who you're teaching, there's a lot of potential anxiety in the room. So there's often talking, there's often what we would sometimes classify as disruptive behavior. And there's also a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. So when we put all of those emotions into a classroom, it can be a little bit rambunctious. And so this video is just to go in and tell you that what you're doing already is more than enough, and a few tools to remind you to kind of keep it in the present moment when you're working with your students, and to remind you of the guiding principles that Legacy Chess offers so that you can apply it to your teachings. So one of the things that we focus on is patience. So often when I'm teaching, a lot of students want to answer the questions, or they have a lot of questions. And sometimes being as a teacher, you want to ensure that you cover a number of lessons in the same class so that you feel as if the students are getting what they deserve. But remind yourself that, they're all probably very new to the game, or they still are learning the very basics of the game. So just when they do have questions, acknowledging that some of them may be trivial, answering them to your best ability, ensuring that your answer is offering them a place to say, oh, okay, I have another question, or for anyone else in the classroom, in case they are able to make the question that the student has a bit more clear, in case the teacher is unable to explain in a way that the student understands. Something else that we want to ensure that our instructors are focusing on is, referring to my notes here, is discipline. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of emotions that happen in the classroom when you're teaching the game of chess. And so it's important that our instructors feel prepared to refocus the energy of the group in times where it's becoming louder than necessary. No, it doesn't have to be entirely silent. More often than not, we don't necessarily encourage that kind of environment unless you're practicing like a tournament play. But we want the students to work together, to ask questions, and to offer suggestions to the people that they're working with. However, if the behavior becomes problematic, not only for the students, but for everyone else's learning environment, contact me. And you may even want to have connection, if you're able to at your location, have connection with the site coordinator, and just kind of touch bases and see that you have what the school or what the organization or potentially what the parent uses as far as disciplinary roles, so that it's in accordance with what the student is used to, and so they know that these things are not okay and they won't be tolerated, and you have something to fall back on. Something else that we want to make sure that you all focus on is creativity. So allowing the students to play out those what if scenarios, even if the student is suggesting something that is completely illegal, and we know it wouldn't fly in a regular chess game. Allow them to finish that thought process, such as, what if my pawn was here, my king is there, and da 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 da. Let them finish that statement, because I'm guessing they raise their hand, they're asking for your attention, you're offering it to them, so give it to them in that moment. And once they're done, you say, yes, that is possible if, or not necessarily that is possible, but say, yes, if in this situation, or maybe even no. So even if in that hypothetical situation that wouldn't work out, just reminding that student that those what if questions, or how does this really work questions, are encouraged, and that there's a time and a place for them. So if they're kind of speaking up more often than what's conducive to the learning environment during lecture, maybe saying, let's approach those, or let's acknowledge those questions when everyone else is doing free play. So just kind of helping you reinforce that creative space for them to think outside of the box. We want to make sure that they're focusing. So Legacy Chess is working towards having volunteers in our classes, especially if you have more than 10 students, so that you aren't working alone. And those volunteer roles will go to also refocus the energy, encourage certain students that are having a hard time paying attention to the lecture or following along with the games, that they're getting the attention they deserve. And then we're touching back with the students' school in case some other actions need to be taken. And back to the example of the what if. So if those what if questions keep happening, saying yes, or just acknowledging, not necessarily happening, say yes, but acknowledging the student made a statement, that they spoke up, which is good, but that might not be the particular time for it. So say, we acknowledge this, however, this is what we're doing right now. So just bringing them back to what the topic is at hand. And then the last thing that we focus on is preparation. So I think preparation really begins on the instructor's hands when it comes to the class, because when the students see that you're prepared for the class, it's easier for them to be prepared and to follow along with the lesson plan. What I've noticed a lot when I teach students, regardless of the sizes of the class, when I kind of inform them of how the class will be structured. For example, we'll start with a lecture, then we'll have a break, and then we'll do free play. And sometimes it changes, but I inform them of what the layout of the class will be. And I've noticed some really good responses from that, so that the students know, like, okay, so when it's break time, can I ask you this question? Or when it's free play, can I do this? Because it provides them some kind of understanding of what's happening around them, because there are a lot of different things, not just taking place with the chess game, but they have lives outside of chess as well. And we would just want to make sure that we're holding space for them as individuals and not just as chess students. So thank you again for all that you do in contributions to Legacy Chess and just as a human being. And if you have any questions at all, we're going to do more of these videos. I'm also sharing different videos with you that Corey has been recording, as far as different tips on preparing for your chess sessions. So definitely ask any questions that you have, and I can respond with a video if I feel like all of the instructors would benefit from the answer, or I can just respond to you directly. Corey and I do our best to make ourselves available. So if you'd like to meet up, if that works best for you, we can do that as well. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video.